Elsie, we're starting. Sometimes you gotta get her to stop playing with the dog long enough to do doing the podcast.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Sometimes you got a basketball Jones.
Sometimes it be like that.
Sometimes you yell at me to stop playing with the dog before everyone's even fully participating.
Well, I think Nicholas, myself, and you are full participation.
Yeah, we're everyone. Well, Sarah's in the other room doing some laundrissimo right now.
Oh, I see.
It's a very important mission that she has to complete, and
Right.
then she'll be in. Then she'll hack her way into the mainframe.
I see. Well, she's going to do the mission. The mission is clear. She's going to do the mission.
Yeah, that's right.
And so on. That's a Tenacious D reference, by the way, for those who don't know.
Yeah, and it's important to clarify that.
It is. Well, I mean, you know that, obviously. You got that. Not everyone would.
If they didn't, then that's kind of their fucking problem. You know what I mean?
I guess. But I thought you would immediately start singing that song, actually.
Well, I'm not. No, I'm not going to do that.
You're not a jukebox.
Yeah, I'm not a jukebox. I'm not a dancing monkey if I'm not on the clock anyway. And I'm, that's not really a singing type of song. That's more of an exclamatory song.
Oh, all right. Well, that's fair enough. Now, I notice you're wearing a tropical shirt.
Yeah, I'm tropical. If I could describe my mood right now, it would be tropical.
Is that right? Is that because you're vaping marijuana?
Or a tropical mood. Yeah. Puts you in a tropical mood.
Wow, I did not know that. Well,
some people might ask, what does a tropical mood mean? What does that entail? Well, you hear a lot of Jimmy Buffett, just in your head.
Right. And then
you're
what?
Kicking back.
Yeah.
So
you're
staying
relaxed.
away from the hammocks, but you're doing whatever else you can to relax.
And just to clarify, you never, ever want to get in a hammock in case you're bitten by a brown bat while you sleep on an exposed knee. We went all over that last episode.
That's the common denominator in all fatal rabies cases is a hammock.
But speaking of hammocks, when you're feeling tropical, must one wear a banana hammock?
Yeah. Whether you want to do that on the inside, the outside, that's up to your discretion.
Up to any side. Okay, very good. Well, shall we begin?
Sure.
Welcome to a very tropical edition of A Shinn Show. I'm your convivial host, Pete Shinn. Joining me, beloved wife Elsie from an undisclosed location in a sound booth in a basement on the East Coast. And also joining me, son Nicholas Shinn in a undisclosed basement location, actually sub-basement location, under a bunker in the Midwest.
Sub-demi basement.
And that's son Nick right there.
So, Peter, I have a question for you.
Yeah, for me, yes.
Yes. Do you have performance anxiety over the intro when Sarah is present, but not when she's not?
Why?
Because that was on point.
Oh.
And it seems like every time you do it perfectly, she is not here.
No, that's not true. Sarah was here last time. I did it perfectly. Isn't that true?
I don't recall.
We can't expect Mr. Tropical to remember much of anything, okay?
I'm a little too busy being tropical over here, all right, to remember all these deets. You know what I'm saying?
Details.
I do.
I'm keeping it tropical.
Indeed you are. And Sarah might be joining us later after she finishes her undisclosed
No, I think
mission.
she's coming in right now.
Oh, I see. Well, that's later.
She's making her way.
Okay, very good.
Which is later from the time that you said that she would. So you're not wrong.
No, I'm not. How could I be? I'm ever so right.
How could you be?
Well, you know what? Let's begin as we do these days with personal news, shall we?
Personal news. Yeah, you go first.
Well, okay. Well, my personal news is that I don't really. Oh, I was supposed to meet a friend for dinner and they canceled.
Fuck 'em.
Wow, that was scintillating.
Right, scintillating. Yeah. I also went to San Francisco last week. Boy, what a shithole that is. I mean, it is a shithole, man.
San Fran, baby. Don't think I've been there.
Would you say it's like an African country?
No, I wouldn't say it's that bad. Or I wouldn't
But
say
San
it's that good.
Francisco is the place with all the, sideways streets, right? The
Yeah.
houses for Miss Doubtfire.
Yeah,
I've been there.
Right. You have been there, I think.
Got extremely overcharged for some seafood, but it's all good.
Well, when were you there?
A long time. Well, I guess not. Maybe a year or two ago.
Well, oh, I see.
Miss Doubtfire being your point of reference is very odd.
That's the first thing I thought when we were in those streets. I was like, this looks like fucking the intro to Miss Doubtfire right here.
Yeah, and it was, in a sense.
It was.
In your mind.
Hey, I
yeah.
know we're just starting personal news or whatever, but have we discussed what the hell is on your shirt?
My shirt?
Yeah.
What do you mean,
Did you
my?
see that, Nick?
That's his glorious pecs, dude. Or
No,
tits.
in between the pecs.
In between
it's
the
a
pecs.
zipper.
Yeah, right there. Right.
Yeah. What is
Oh, it's
that?
a zipper.
Yeah.
It's a zipper.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a,
It's so that he can show his gold chain.
right.
Oh.
That he got made out of jeweler. No big deal. It's all good.
Got a lion head on it.
'Cause he's balling. He wants people to know, and he tucks his gold. But
Look,
it's
it
all
looked
good.
like a real fucked up stain. That's all I'm going to say.
All right.
When he
It
walks
does
around the
kinda look
neighborhood
like-
with the cigar, he does need that chain showing out.
That's not true.
It looks like some kind of medical protrusion to me, but
Here, this
just
will make
saying.
everyone
That's just
more
his
comfortable.
third
I know
nipple.
what it is. I'm just, I wasn't concerned about it. I figured you had it under control.
There, I'm
Well,
just
that makes
gonna
fun of
I'm just gonna continue to flex my pecs though.
Flex.
Yeah,
the
it's
pecs.
awkward.
It's no, because
Pec flexor.
I am kind of doing the chicken wing.
Yeah,
actually.
it looks like he's flapping like a chicken. You're missing out.
Yeah, really, really missing out. Yeah, so that's what that is. And yes, we are doing personal news. And I mentioned my personal news is that I was supposed to go to dinner with somebody and they canceled, and then I went to San Francisco
Sad
last
cringe.
week. Sad cringe. Ooh. Ooh. Anyway, so yeah, I went to San Francisco, and it is just as dirty and filthy as... See, San Francisco reminds me more of Gotham these days than New York City does.
That's funny.
What's funny about it?
I don't know.
I
It's funny. Don't put me on the spot, man.
It's fun. Everyone knows that everything is funnier when you have to explain it.
Yeah. Yeah, so much funnier.
Oh, yeah.
When you take the time to dissect it and pick it apart.
Yeah, that's where the humor is, right there.
Yeah. The real humor.
Yeah, so I went to some restaurants in San Francisco. They're fine. I tipped my server generously. Speaking
That's
of
nice
what,
of you.
yeah, it is. Now, do you have any other? Am I the only one with personal news? I went to San Francisco. I had
I'm just
some
not sure
rice-a-roni.
you gave anyone else a chance yet.
Well, all right then. Well, let's have you give some personal news then, Elsie.
Oh, I got nothing. I live with you.
That's true. That's a good point.
Okay. Well, I feel this shifting over my way now. So
Well, it seems fair.
Here's my personal news for the week.
Yes.
There you go.
And that's my debit card. I canceled it before we went on this trip because I gave it to Sandy to do some shopping and she handed it back to me and it disappeared.
Okay.
So I had to cancel it because I haven't seen it in forever.
All right.
But that fucked up my Blue Apron delivery.
Oh,
So when I got back, I had an email that was like, your payment has been declined. Please update it. So I updated it. And then I emailed them and I was like, hey, am I going to get my food this week? And,
I'm going to starve.
and they sent me back an email, which I read as, yes, absolutely, you're going to get your food this week. But I didn't.
I see. That's so you've been starving.
For 3 days, yes.
Really?
Because I am incapable of going to the store myself.
All she's had to eat for the past 3 days is a tube of Crest.
And an actual Blue Apron.
Yeah. Once you boil it, you can get the nutrients going in a kind of a broth.
Yes.
Yeah, so Murphy was like, give me your email. I'm going to write them a nasty letter because they said I'd get my food.
Yes.
And
Wouldn't write nasty letters to the people who prepare your food, but okay.
That's a server's perspective, but keep going.
but anyway, she looks at the email and she looks at me and she goes, you're a fucking dumbass because it clearly says here that you're not going to get your food this week.
Well, good thing she didn't send it first, right?
No, she read the email that
Good
she was
on her.
going to reply to.
Oh, okay.
My personal news this week is that I'm a fucking dumbass that doesn't know how to interpret dates or something. I don't know.
see. Oh, so I get it. So it said, yes, of course you'll be getting your shipments resumed on these dates.
Yeah,
And then you read that these dates to mean immediately.
right.
And you were wrong.
Not sooner.
Yeah.
In fact, I was going to get a backup box, and that did not happen.
So what have you been eating then in the absence of Blue Apron?
I made the Blue Apron recipes. I just went out and bought the shit myself.
Wow, man. That sounds really, really heinous.
It's deep.
Why?
I don't know. I mean, you had to go to the store, you had to get in a car, you had to drive, you had to exchange money for food. I mean, it sounds really...
Okay, yeah, you're right. And that in those terms, yes, it was heinous.
Thank you.
It's yummy though. Once I actually made it.
Well, good job. It was tasty. Was it as tasty as the Blue Apron offering?
Yes.
By the way, this podcast is not brought to you by Blue Apron. It's brought to you by
welcome.
Ziffs. Well, on a fake basis, of course. Blue Apron could join in on a fake basis.
No.
What if Blue Apron and Ziff's combined forces?
Look,
Ziff's
I really
Apron.
like Blue Apron, but
No,
I don't
Blue
actually
Apron better be.
recommend it.
Yeah, they better fucking pay us if we're talking about them.
All right,
They
fair
can
enough.
Pay
Every
us.
other podcast
Fuck
on
you,
this
Blue
podcast.
Apron. Pay me first.
How about
Fuck you.
Ziff's? Ziff's.
Zips, though. Zips, they're all good. They're local mom and pop.
Zips is bomb.com.
Yeah. I mean, where else can you get authentic, freshly slain kiwi juice?
Nowhere else but Ziff's, the southernmost restaurant in New Zealand, and in fact, probably in the whole damn world. Right there at Ziff's.
Yeah. Stop on in.
All right, Nick, so what's your personal news?
Yeah.
Wait, I've got more personal news.
Okay, good.
And that's My Chemical Romance is getting back together, and I'm super excited about it.
Did I tell you that him and Joe Rogan are cousins?
What?
Gerard Way and Joe Rogan are cousins.
That's fucking weird.
And they don't know each other.
Well,
Kevin
in the bigger
Smith-
picture, we're all cousins, aren't we?
Well, I mean,
Yeah, but they're like first cousins.
Oh.
Speaking of bands getting back together, and if we're calling this personal news, Rage Against the Machine coming back together for 5 shows. Count them, 5 shows. And I really, really want to fucking go. And I'm having a very hard time finding a way to justify the plane ticket to Phoenix or El Paso or Las Cruces just to go see them. But it seems kind of worth it to me.
They're not coming up your way at all?
Nope.
That's weird. It's too bad we don't have family still in New Mexico.
It's like a
Right.
5-show tour or what?
Yeah, they're
Why we're not
protesting the
family
border
in
wall.
Oh.
It's a border wall tour.
Oh, they moved to Tennessee, didn't they?
Who moved to Tennessee?
Whoever
yeah.
used to be in New Mexico.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they did. That would be my beloved sister. Moved to Tennessee from New Mexico, and so she's therefore no longer in New Mexico. The last of our relatives has now left New Mexico.
There you have it.
Yeah, now you're updated. But Rage Against the Machine is returning to New Mexico in a triumphant 5-show tour that
Wow.
Elsie would like to spend about $1,000 to see.
At least.
What are the tickets? Do we even know what the tickets cost?
No, we don't. But I did look up the airfare, and it's about $400 per person.
Maybe we can live stream it. No. All right. Well, let's just leave that aside. So that's all the personal news that fits, apparently, except for yours, Nicholas. Now, the pressure here is, I could fill in a little bit. We did go ahead and we blew with an electric blower. We blew off the deck, and that's no small chore. And then I blew the leaves back into the woods, which
Okay.
and then
I would rather hear about rabies again than about your tours.
I would rather have rabies than listen to that bullshit.
Right.
I mean, who the fuck would ever
Yeah.
want to tune into that?
I don't know.
You're
dog.
cut off, sir.
All right.
Nick,
Yeah.
save
Yeah,
us
I'm
from
cutting
this.
you off. Yeah, not really much personal news. I got a space heater that works really fucking good, which is nice.
Yeah, that is nice, especially where you live. Has it been cold there? I think it has been.
It's cold and our heat doesn't really work that good.
There,
Well, you're in like in a sub-basement unit or whatever.
Yeah, sub-basement,
No.
underground dwelling, chud type, cannibalistic humanoid underground dweller type situation.
I thought
And
it
what
was-
you needed a space heater for.
Why do I need it?
No, I'm saying that's why you need it.
Oh yeah, that is why I need it. But yeah, so that happened. That's cool. Got a space heater gifted to me.
Oh, really?
Well, more like I borrowed it. And
So you
promised
stole
to
it.
return it at some point.
Oh, I see.
Probably at the end
When it's
of winter.
warmer.
Just
Yeah.
did I ever tell you guys that story on here of that guy I had when I was at one of my tables who wanted a raw hamburger?
No.
I've heard this, but go ahead and tell it again. It's always a wild ride.
Yeah, this fucking guy comes. This is back when I was working at Stroud's, and I had a party of it wasn't even this dude by himself. It was this guy who was definitely at least 60 years old, in with a party of 9 or so people in the back, and I'm taking everyone's orders, and I'm like, all right, sir, what can I get for you? And he's like, I want a raw hamburger. And I was like, well, what? And he's like, yeah, just take the hamburger out of the fridge and put it on a bun and put an onion on there and give it to me. And I was like, I don't think I am illegally allowed to do that for you. I can't just give you raw food. And he's like, I will sign whatever the fuck you want me to sign. I will talk to whoever you want me to talk to. Go in there and get me a raw hamburger and bring it out to me. And I was like, okay, let me go talk to my manager and just make sure it's all good, dude. And all his family is like, oh man, this shit happened. They're putting their head in their hands.
Oh, I guess I didn't
Happens all the time.
realize that I thought he was alone.
No, it was the whole family.
That's fucking.
And some of
that's
them were trying to be
weird.
no, it's okay. He does it all the time. And I'm like, no, it's not okay if it's not okay, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
legally, I don't know that it is okay.
I don't want to be on the fucking news because I gave fucking grandpa here salmonella because he's so senile he thought he could just eat raw meat all of a sudden, which is not how it works. It's never how it works.
No, it'll probably be E. coli, though, with beef.
E. coli, whatever.
Yeah.
Disease. I don't want to disease grandpa here in front of the whole family. You feel me? So I go to the back and I say, hey, Emmett, dude, this guy wants a fucking raw hamburger. And he's like, nah, he comes in here all the time. It's fine. Just do it. And I was like, okay. I go to the line and Tyree was working on the line. I was like, dude, he wants a raw hamburger. So just put it on the fucking bun, put an onion on there. He's like, what? And then I went through the whole thing with him where he's like, I don't know if I'm fucking like legally allowed to do that.
And I want to be responsible for this.
And Emmett's like, no, just do it. So he's getting all the other food ready. And I come back there and I'm like, dude, I'm going to have to sit here and watch you eat this after all this hubbub. You know, I want to see you eat this raw hamburger.
Right.
Like, yeah, by all means. And then I go back there. Tyree's like, does he want any seasoning on it? Like anything at all? Any cheese? And I'm like, let me ask him. Maybe he wants some seasoning. And I ask him, and the dude's like, all right, look at me. Here's what you need to understand. Take the hamburger out of the fridge. You put it on the bun, and you put an onion on there, and bring it out to me. No more, no less. And I was like, all right, man, you got it. It's your fucking funeral. So I bring it out, and he ate the whole goddamn thing.
Yeah.
It's his gut biome.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, and he lived to
he
tell
was
the
an old
tale.
man. He looked healthy. So maybe there's a secret to it.
Except he never came back, and you never saw him again.
No, I didn't. I really didn't.
Yeah. Well, he died. So
Yeah, well,
Maybe.
probably so.
You
Eventually.
should have had him fill out a form.
Like, it's one thing if you, like, how, you just can't trust that a restaurant's going to have pristine, uncooked meat. You know what I mean? Like, you're gambling. You're playing Russian roulette here, you old fuck. What are you doing? Just cook it. Get it rare.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's all good.
Yeah, it's all good. Hey, so here's some more personal news. I actually listened to your advice, Nick. And I listened to the Commander Ferber podcast with Joe
In its
Rogan.
entirety?
In its entirety, all 2 hours. I know
it is 2 hours, huh?
Yeah, you did tell.
Whoops.
Oh, this isn't 2 hours. No, it's 2 hours. 2
Well,
hours,
it
3
flies
minutes.
by. It was so riveting.
It was
to
all
me.
right. So the whole point here is that Commander Ferber is a naval commander who, in 2004, intercepted an basically an anomalous aviation vector. Anyway, the point is that he saw a UFO, and he didn't just see one. He intercepted one in his F-18. So
Attempted to chase it.
Yeah, and couldn't.
And not just him, but other people, other pilots in a separate plane.
And so forth and so on. Yeah. I mean, it's a legitimate tale. You know what's interesting to me? Here's what's interesting to me is that it is now out there confirmed with video shot by military aircraft.
Yeah.
That there are craft that have made it to this planet that are clearly not of this planet. And guess what? It's not earth-shattering news.
Yeah, I know. That's exactly what I was going to say. Like, the Navy even released a statement that was like, yeah, these things exist. Here's the videos. We can't ever catch them, and we don't know what they're doing. So there you go.
So live with that, and let's continue on with...
good night.
Yeah.
Here's American Idol.
Yeah, but I do find that fascinating. But, Elsie's sitting here scrolling through Facebook. She's not fazed by any of this.
Well, yeah, I just thought it was super interesting that, like, I feel like I don't know if there's been an actual campaign. Well, there certainly was against Bob Lazar, but just against people in general when they talk about UFOs. As soon as someone starts talking about a UFO, you're like, all right, here we go. But like that dude, you can't get more, reputable, not bullshitter than a fucking Navy commander. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, I
a non-disgraced one. You know what I mean?
Right.
One who did his time and had accolades and all that shit.
Yeah. Well,
and it was interesting to me.
Well,
Did you remember that story you told about? This is just anecdotal, but he said this woman called him.
Yes, the 79-year-old said it's been happening for decades.
Yeah, for a long fucking time. The government, at least our government, has been seeing it. And I thought it was interesting that they say, especially that story about it coming and taking that torpedo, like they go into and out of the water.
Yeah. So
what could they be doing under there, I wonder?
Oh, they're probably in a tropical frame of mind.
They're definitely tropical as fuck. You don't reach that state of technology without approaching it from a tropical point of view.
That sounds good.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. So, but really, I think the reason why the world's hair isn't on fire about this is for two reasons, really. The first one is that, okay, we, the most powerful government on earth, can't do a goddamn thing about it.
No. Yeah.
So, clearly, nothing can be done about it. So that's number one.
Mhm.
Even if we don't know what it means, even if we don't understand their intent, even if we don't know where it's going to lead, doesn't matter. We can't do a goddamn thing about it. So that's number one.
Or even if we did understand,
Yeah.
I still don't think there would be anything. We can't compete with that level. It's essentially magic, the technology is the things they're doing. It's so advanced. It's the technology and now magic are indistinguishable at that point to us.
Yes.
To the little monkeys.
Right, the hairless apes that inhabit this planet.
Right.
But the second reason that I think that no one's hair is on fire is because there are still, despite the factual evidence, there are still the vast majority of people who think there's some kind of explanation or that it's simply a bunch of hooey.
I mean, yeah.
I like the word hooey.
Yeah,
I like
everyone
hooey
likes that.
too. That
Yeah.
was a good,
Good use of hooey.
placement.
Thank you.
Good placement there.
Thank you.
Well, but as you say, ultimately, the end result, whether you believe it or whether you know that it's real or believe that it's real, doesn't change anything because it's happening and there's nothing we can do about it.
It's so true. Hey, one more piece of personal news as we wrap this up. I bathed.
Congratulations. So riddle me this. Is it more or less crazy to believe in the paranormal versus aliens, or is it on the same spectrum?
Paranormal? You mean like ghosts and spirits and such?
Whatever you believe the paranormal to be.
I think aliens are like way less crazy to me. Paranormal stuff that can be that. Oh, I listened to those Magnus archives, by the way.
Like
we'll go back to that later. Yeah, that's super. The first one was fucking really good. But anyway, I just think aliens are more likely. You know what I mean?
Because there are simply billions and billions of stars with presumably
Mathematically,
Mathematically, yeah, like it would be shocking if there was not aliens.
But if energy can neither be created nor destroyed, then every living thing that has ever lived on this planet has left an energy footprint, yes or no?
Yeah, but look, these theories that we have about how everything works, just by the way those ships move, you know what I mean? I've heard our understanding of thermodynamics and energies might just be super preschool level right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all theories. I don't think that, which could prove all that stuff to be true. I don't know if the science isn't advanced enough for us to use that to translate to the paranormal. I don't think yet,
I understand what you're saying, that there's no way to prove or disprove any paranormal activities, theories, or phenomenon, is what I think Nicholas is saying.
Yeah, not with the science available to us right now.
But that still aliens is more likely just because of the sheer size of space.
And because of this shit that,
No, the fact that
people, officials have, confirmed that there's things flying around.
That we don't know what
You
they
know what
are.
I'm hearing?
Yeah, and just the way they fly around, you know what I mean? The way they move is not possible.
What are
within
you
our
hearing,
technology.
Sarah?
I'm hearing that Nick just hasn't had any ghostly encounters.
Fuck yes.
I have.
Mm-hmm.
I've had things that I considered to be possibly supernatural, but then I'm that could have been, I was trying to explain it away. Yeah,
Right,
I tried to
so-
explain it away.
Right,
don't
I
want
just
it to
had
be real.
indigestion.
So is it fair to say then that if you actually saw a UFO in the distance, you might convince yourself that it isn't what you saw?
Yeah,
I mean,
I
I've
definitely would. I'd be like, that's not a fucking. There's no way that's
What
that
people
wouldn't
do.
be a UFO.
I mean, people compartmentalize like that.
Well, I just don't want I don't want to give myself the hope of being I actually saw that shit with my own two eyes. You know what I mean? And then go my whole life thinking that, and then it's nah, that was a fucking weather balloon or some shit. I don't doubt that those things are real. I really do. I can't say I know because I've never seen anything, but I really do believe that shit happens.
So you do believe.
You do believe.
No, if I were to see a UFO, it would probably just be swamp gas.
Yeah. Or my own gas.
Yeah, probably that latter. No, so this is a good question, though, by Elsie, because there are obviously many people have had some sort of supernatural phenomenon. I'll tell you the one that is undeniable and indisputable that I've experienced, which is that on the very night that your beloved grandmother, Pat, and my beloved mother croaked, on that very night, I had a dream of her sitting in a rocking chair, smoking cigarettes, just rocking back and forth, and looking very peaceful on the night that she died. And then I woke up.
Before you knew that she had died.
Oh, yeah. And then I woke up and I got a phone call from your beloved Aunt Amy that mother had passed away. Now, that happened that very evening. Now, you could
think
say
maybe she reached out to you psychically, possibly. You know, I was told by you that she was real into that stuff.
Oh, my gosh, yes. She certainly was. Now, I was not. I've always been skeptical of that, but that actually and factually happened to me. There's no denying it. So you can say, well, it's a coincidence. There's no controlling what you dream, and it just so happens it would be a normal subject for you to dream of your mother, except that I have rarely dreamed of my mother, so infrequently, in fact, that's actually...
That it stood out.
Yeah, that's like one of maybe 3 times in my adult life that I can actually remember a dream in which my mother appeared. So it's possible that it's a coincidence, obviously, but it's a hell of a correlation. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
What does it mean? Perhaps nothing.
And like I said,
I like those kinds of stories, though, because like you hear that's not a unique experience to you. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, I don't know.
And yeah, like I said, our understanding of how science works could also, like our understanding or lack thereof of the things at play that go around us might, be the very basis for why these things exist. Like spirits could exist. People could do these strange things. I'm not exactly sure like where the boundaries would be, but I feel like there's a lot of understandings that people take for granted about how the world works. And I also feel like these are just getting fleshed out as we've, achieved a kind of a mastery of our brains.
I've got a perfect way to deal with the fact that our science can't quite keep up with some of these things. Religion.
Oh, what a good idea. Am I right?
Let's start one, guys.
We already have started one. It's called the Church of Universal Energy and the Infinite Multiverse. I'm the pastor, and unfortunately, I'm the only congregant at this point.
Dude, why the fuck can Mormons are just a cult. Like, that was clearly a cult, and, like, it took off. Why can't we do that? Why is it cool? Like, you know what I mean?
I think that's what he's saying we want to do. But the problem is because we would be starting it out, we would be seen as the cult and run out of Pennsylvania like the Mormons.
Yeah, but we're
were.
not actually a cult, though. Like, look, every cult, literally every single cult, the guy who starts the cult does it because he wants to fuck everybody, right? That's what he does. Name one cult where the cult leader is not fucking everybody.
Oh, dude,
the
Heaven's Gate cult. That guy was like very androgynous. Nobody was supposed to fuck each other at all. Boom.
Okay,
but
we'll call that.
You have proof that he wasn't fucking everyone. Like, that seems like someone who's fucking everyone that he would make that rule, so only he can fuck everyone. You get to the tier 3 of the brotherhood, you get truly indoctrinated by Father what's his name,
which is usually true in a cult, but wasn't in this one.
As far as we know, we weren't actual members.
As far as we know, yeah. But and look, dude, Mormons, polygamy. That's like a very crucial tenet of Mormonism. Well, they try to say that it's not because it's fucking illegal in the United States, so they can't really do it how they want to.
Well, they've broken off into sects. There's like the mainstream Mormonism, which is totally against it, but then there are the good old fashioned ones.
Yeah, the mainstream Mormons are the Come on. You got to be all Mormon or no Mormon at all, dude. Are you in the cult or not?
Are you wearing the underwear?
Listen.
Yeah. Joseph Smith is turning in his grave at you fucking heretics.
Let me tell you.
They've got a great temple, though. Salt Lake is beautiful.
And actually, every Mormon person I've ever met has been a terrific human being. I have yet to meet a Mormon person who is a prick.
How many Mormons do you know?
I'm not hating on Mormon people. I'm hating on the guy who
On
started
the cult.
it. Yeah, it is a cult though. Like it's all good. I'll go to lunch with you.
We're not
I'm cool
against
with
cults.
you. Yeah, but it is a cult, and like I said, I'm still down with that. You just need to know that you were born and raised in a cult. Okay, it's simple.
Or you won't go to lunch with them.
No, I still go to lunch either way, dude. But like, I'm just saying, like that is a fact, and I always think that, and always remind you of that it is a cult if you don't think it is.
Oh no, I do think I think that it is.
I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to my hypothetical Mormon friend.
I see. I got you.
But you should also be talking to your father, the cult leader of the Church of Universal Energy and the Infinite Multiverse.
No, you could be. So the answer is the bare bones of the cult are already laid out. I mean, it's not a cult for us because we don't want to fuck everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of more of a family thing right now.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but
anybody, look, if you even think that sounds like something that you want to be a part of, you're in.
Yeah,
First
exactly.
tier, gold membership.
Right.
It's like the podcast all over again, isn't it?
Yeah.
That sure is. With just as many adherents.
Yeah. Yep.
That's very
it's
good.
all good.
Yeah, so the tenets, by the way, of
Screaming
the
into the
Church of
void.
Universal Energy and the Infinite Multiverse are simply this. That, in fact, this universe that we inhabit is one of only many. And so, ultimately, if you consider that infinite possibilities, the real meaning of infinite multiverses, it means that everything that ever possibly could happen either has already happened, will happen, or is happening right now. Which means what for you? It means that you get the opportunity to make your own choices and live your best life in this universe, because ultimately, if you don't quite achieve what it is that you intend to achieve, don't worry, you've done it someplace else. So just relax and live your best life right here in this multiverse. In this iteration of the multiverse, just live your best life right now.
Yeah. And pizza is the national, pizza is the holy food.
Pizza is the holy food.
But
Every Sunday at least.
We are going to punish people if they don't live their best life, right?
No punishment.
There's no punishment.
No, that's the beauty of it. No punishment whatsoever. Now, if you'd like to help spread the message of the Church of Universal Energy and the Infinite Multiverse, we'd welcome your donations. Of course.
Of course. I mean, yeah.
Chris,
look,
we're looking at you.
We want to be the most efficient that we possibly can. And of course, we would request tax exemption because it is,
it's a legitimate
helping people to better their lives. It all goes to the Lord of whoever. Whichever. Look, if there's infinite universes, then surely in one of them there's a God. And in one of them, or it's essentially infinite numbers of them,
yes,
we actually do
we
give
need
our
a lot of
proceedings
money.
to God.
That's a lot of money for a lot of gods.
It is. It really is.
Yeah. So we need that much more money to please all the gods of the infinite universe.
That's so true. So, Chris, you can start.
Mine.
Shout out to Chris, by the way, who I think is going to be could be the first outside family member to join the Church of Universal Energy and the Infinite Multiverse.
Ben, you're still welcome as well.
Sure. But Chris really got his knickers in a twist because we didn't mention him first last time. So
because we waited till the very end.
Yeah.
And he's like, you made me fucking wait all the way to the end of that bullshit.
Yeah, and then not only that, we shouted out to Ben first after all that. So.
Oh, all right, Chris.
But we do like Ben better.
Well, see, this is just rubbing salt in Chris's wounds at this point.
Yeah.
We're never going to get him into the church this way. Not with this attitude.
We don't need him in the church. We
I
just need
feel
his
like
fucking money.
He's already in the church in some other universe. You know what I mean?
That's a good point right there. Somewhere in the multiverse, he's actually running the goddamn thing.
Yeah, you're already in there, so you might as well join it in this one, too.
That's a good point.
Make it symmetrical.
Yeah, make it symmetrical and give a substantial portion of your income.
Yeah.
Please.
Tithe it to us.
Well, I think tithe's a little stingy, don't you? What I like to think about, when you think about all the multiverses we got to keep track of and deal with, I'm thinking...
It's a lot of time spent into this, you know what I mean? We're going to need salaries to keep track of all this.
It's going to be a full-time deal.
We're going to need benefits.
Well, yeah. I mean, in this universe, I need health care, so...
Yeah, and in all the other ones, I'd like to swing that, too, for them. So, as much as possible.
I can see how this is already spiraling into control. So, good.
Yeah, right into control.
Oh, this is perfect. All right, Sarah, your thoughts?
See Peter for a pamphlet.
Well, now it is fair to say, I'm surprised you're not a little more enthusiastic, since you and your beloved spouse were indeed married in the Church of the Universal Energy and Infinite Multiverse.
Look, I don't got to be enthusiastic about shit to belong to it.
That's a good point.
That
And
makes
that's
her
all
a good
good.
congregant right there.
It sure does.
That's fine.
Obedient.
We're pro not shoving it down other people's throats.
That's true. That's true. We definitely not. In fact, we haven't recruited a single person yet. So,
Yeah.
I mean, honestly,
We're pretty exclusive. You know what I mean?
at this point, yeah. So on to the next thing, which is this. Sarah, I'd like a murder update, please.
There is none.
No update on the murder?
Nope.
Huh.
It remains a mystery.
Really? It's not solved?
No, dude.
No one has been arrested.
Nah.
What about her boyfriend?
Apparently
Ex-husband?
not.
Ex-husband? I mean, what
He
do I
must
got?
have a rock
She
solid
did not.
alibi.
She didn't have a boyfriend. She had an ex-husband. And no arrests have been made in the case, which means either he didn't do it or they can't find him. So
I see.
Oh, well, yeah, he might have skipped town.
Here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, let's go ahead and load up the mystery machine, get our dog up in there, and drive around and solve this fucking thing.
If I was going to do that, I would want a pack of dogs. Big dogs, too. Mean ones.
Well, you've
And
got
then
her
it's all
back.
good.
You've
you
got
gotta
her.
have a couple Great Danes because they're big.
They're intimidating. If anyone
And
knows
then you
shit
gotta
about
have some
dogs, they know they're not going to do
Then
anything.
you gotta have some actual fucking mean dogs.
I got to have some shepherds in there.
Maybe a Ronnie.
Shepherds.
Yeah.
You're already dressed
Maybe
as
a
Shaggy,
Roddy.
though, so that's a good start.
Who's dressed as Shaggy?
Nick is.
No, he's not. Shaggy
No, I'm not.
doesn't. Shaggy doesn't
He wears
wear.
a green shirt.
Yeah.
He's got the hair, long hair, and a goatee.
Yeah, he's not dressed like Shaggy. at all.
Red corduroy pants.
Yeah, right?
I don't remember them being red, but okay.
Yeah,
Because they weren't.
aren't
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're a color.
Congratulations.
Anyway,
Yes, but so that's mystery machine concept isn't really taking off here, huh?
they?
no.
We need dogs, man.
I'm
Or
gonna go
some-
back to personal news here for a second.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of my chickens
Oh
got
no.
eaten by a hawk.
A hawk.
Dude, I knew that was going to happen, bro. There's a hawk that frequents the airspace around your
Dude.
backyard.
We have now encountered. Here are the number of predators we've encountered in our backyard.
Yeah.
Foxes, raccoons,
Foxes, raccoons,
possums,
possums,
and now a fucking hawk.
and
And
now a hawk.
pedophiles.
Right.
I haven't
And-
actually checked the sex offender
A
registry
different
around
kind
my,
of predator.
around
Yes.
my residence.
And famous skateboarder Tony Hawk loves chicken. You got to watch out for him.
No, I was in your backyard once, and the chickens were just out and about, and I heard the cry of the hawk. Ah! And then it
They
swooped
live on
down.
these big fucking trees around here.
Yeah, it swooped down, but it was too scared.
Yeah, so now I have to
It pulled
figure
back.
out. Now I have to figure out how to deter hawks, which apparently the answer is a scarecrow
Yeah, I was gonna say scared.
and some fucking more lights.
Just pay me $25 an hour, and I will break dance on that part of your roof back there. Or I'll just do the robot dressed as a scarecrow for hours, sun up till sundown.
Wow.
Playing loud, discordant music.
You really do hate your job.
I don't hate it.
Okay.
It's
good.
actually not the worst job I've ever had.
Oh, yeah. Everyone's
And then
had-
sometimes I think like, man, this is bullshit. But then I'm like, but the money though, the amount of money I'm getting for the actual amount of effort and time that I'm putting in is like really good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. So I think it's almost time at this point for a restaurant PSA.
Yeah.
A restaurant etiquette PSA with Nick Shinn. It's time for a restaurant etiquette PSA with Nick Shinn. And
I don't
here's
even have to prepare these, dude. Like I thought that I'd have to prepare them, but I could literally just, there's millions of things that people act like dickheads about.
okay.
So lay a couple on us.
Because they ignorant. Dude, all right, look, if you walk in and they're sitting you at a table and you want a booth, that's okay. All right. You want a booth instead of a table? Fine. But bro, when they sit you at the table and they're like, well, we want to sit at this booth over here. And then they sit over there and they're like, actually, no, we want to sit over here. If you move your seats 4 times,
You're an
guess
asshole.
what? You got to be shot now. We have to take you into the back and make you into lo mein. You know what I mean? That is what we have to do. And those are the rules. I don't make the rules. Dude, and if you're a construction worker, this guy came in, he was a construction worker, dude. And they were sitting him at a table. He was like, can I have a booth, please? Hey, you're fired. You're not a construction worker anymore. You can't. If you can't sit at a table, you need to tell the lady that you want to sit in a booth. You are no longer allowed to be a construction worker.
Why?
You have to make parade floats or something.
Yeah, why
for
are
a
you
living.
judging this person by what they do?
Come on, man. The fucking table was not, this is ridiculous.
It hurts
First
my
off,
butt.
Look,
Okay,
sometimes construction workers just want to feel cozy. You can't feel cozy at a table. You need a booth. You need to be swaddled in a booth for coziness.
No.
Also,
Sitting
this is why I
down,
don't eat lo
makes a
mein. It's
difference.
made out of previous customers, apparently.
Yeah, they're bones.
But
Scrimshawed into fucking tables and booths.
I like Scrimshaw.
Yeah, that's a good use of scrimshaw. Hey, so
Yeah, you know why I used it? Because I heard it in the Magnus archive.
Oh.
now let's tell me about this Magnus Archives.
They're just like a series of short horror stories that they like over time they arc into one. I think they're in the same universe.
Yeah, they are.
There's a connection between
So-
all of them.
The premise.
Just little 20-minute things.
Yeah, the premise is there's this institute in London that investigates paranormal happenings, and the head archivist of this institute is going through and recording old case notes.
Who's
Oh, I
a
see.
skeptic himself?
So-
He explains that these are like, the police and actual academics don't have time to investigate every fucking, weird thing that someone reports. He's like, that's what we do. And he's a huge skeptic. He always comes in and like, I like how they do it. At the end, he's like, interesting story, but there's no other key eyewitnesses and all this shit. But then he'll be like, but although there was this one other thing, and then it makes it like a little more sinister there at the end.
So how many have you listened to? Just the one?
I'm on I've listened to, the last one I listened to was the Piper,
Oh, that's
the
a good
World
one.
War One
Yeah, Piper.
story.
All right, so it seems like this is obviously a podcast, the Magnus Archives. Sounds like it's tales of the arabesque and bizarre, which I enjoy. So I might have to give that a peep.
Yeah,
The
it's nice
good
just
thing
'cause
about
they're
them is that they're
20-minute things.
20 minutes.
Yeah.
I like that. Short, bite-sized podcasts.
Correct.
Tasty, not like this one.
No, not like this one, which was bitter, and unchewable,
Drags on.
like a
on,
lead weight.
on.
Hey, so I want
A
to
lead
circle
weight
back.
dipped in tar and then thrown in sand that you have to swallow whole.
Yeah, right. It's tough to get down. But circling back to it for a second, to Tales of the Arabesque and Bizarre. Now, I shared my own personal story of the paranormal, and yet I've not heard either of you or you, Elsie, share a paranormal story from your own experience. So I think we should all have to share one.
Nick and I know about the creepy old man who used to live in our basement.
Okay, let's
Creepy
hear.
old shadow man. Do you remember the shadow man?
I remember shadow men. I remember a pair of men that I saw standing in the basement.
Which
I
house
mean-
is this?
Which what?
Which house?
This was in the house in Nebraska City, and Sarah's bedroom was in the basement. Sometimes her bedroom was in the basement, but the rest of the basement was like a little,
Unfinished.
it was completely unfinished. A little creepy. No lights or anything.
Well, because it was an extension, so like you could see the old sub basement. Well,
Yeah.
I keep using that word, but you could see the old basement and then the new basement, which my bedroom was the only finished
Portion of it. Yeah, it was in that little house that was in a constant state of disrepair that was never finished.
Yes,
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
my
the
God.
one.
Before we continue with this story, let me just say again for the record how terrible I feel as a parent that I let you live in that shithole.
Well, it wasn't so bad.
Duly noted.
That's fine. Okay.
I mean, there were a couple people there to keep him company, apparently.
Yeah.
The shadow people.
Well, there were endless people.
There's a shitload of people there at all times. But
Yeah, so you just would see shadows or figures, or
but
you would
this
see,
one
like,
time,
full-on
it was
people?
actually one of the few times that there wasn't anyone else there. It seemed like everyone else was asleep, and it was late at night, and I was walking by the fucking hallway. You walk out, and the hallway right to your left the stairs go straight down into the fucking basement, and then right in front of you is the kitchen. So I was going out. I don't even know what the fuck I was doing, but I just looked down the hallway, and there was two guys standing there, and one of them was like tall, and one of them was shorter than him, but he was like pretty fat. The tall guy was like skinny, and the short guy was a little bit portly. And they
Laurel
both
and
had
Hardy,
coats
apparently.
on, and it seemed like they had some kind of weird hats pulled down over their faces, like
So you mean you almost got robbed?
well, no, but they were just standing there, and they looked almost like cartoons to me. Like they didn't look like the proportions of an actual human being, but they were clearly two men standing right there. But it was so dark down there, I could just see like a darker silhouette. But I for sure saw two guys standing right there, and then I was just like, and then turned around and ran back to my room.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I do agree with Elsie on this. You may have simply seen the ghosts of Laurel and Hardy.
Possibly. Don't know who the fuck
I was
that
going to
is.
say they don't understand the reference, but that's
All good.
okay. Chris, you might understand the reference. No one else will.
Yeah, they were fat and thin people. All right. So, Sarah, you had a similar experience, I take it?
There was this shadow person that I would see in the basement, and it was not short and misproportioned. It was a tall, lanky guy with a suit and a trench coat and a fucking like a fedora, maybe.
Yeah.
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 So that's the one that Nick saw also, but he also saw him accompanied by another fellow.
Yeah. Yeah. That matches the description.
Yeah.
And so,
And like I said, I was like half fucking asleep. There was people in and out of there all the time. They could have been actual people, or maybe I'm just remembering a dream. Sometimes I just imagine
maybe this is like a shared story, because I know the girls saw him too. So
yeah, everyone like kind of had a story of seeing people down there.
Yeah.
Like
So who
in
knows?
the dark.
but Sarah, you saw this apparition more than once.
I mean, I want to say so, but it's hard to say.
Was at any time when you saw it, was it accompanied by any strange chills or any other phenomenon that you could identify?
That was a long time ago, my dude. I don't know.
I see.
No. There was never ice on the windows in my
in your
the one experience that I had.
All right.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, sometimes I just
nighttime
convince
and
myself
creepy.
that it's a dream.
Nighttime, dark and creepy.
Okay. Well, I guess this would have been a more appropriate line of questioning, before Halloween.
Halloween. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Like I said, dude, you can do any kind of holidays are stupid as fuck. Just act how you want to act at all times of the year.
I'm doing it right now. Act tropical. That's what I say.
Inversion festival.
What about
Halloween? Halloween is a countrywide, culture-wide inversion festival that we require because society ramps up Thanksgiving and Christmas as structured, highly structured, high stress festivals. So we have Halloween to offset that. It's an inversion festival. Look it up.
Halloween.
In other words, it's the purge only light.
Purge light. L-I-T-E.
The less filling purge. That tastes great.
Yeah.
It's also
Instead of
just
purging
enough-
each other.
It's also just
Purge
an
yourself.
opportunity for women to dress like sluts and anyone who's uptight to pretend they're not for a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're hooking. And it's all good.
Yeah.
You are hooking. Some of the Halloween costume. Well, whatever. It's all
Yeah.
good. We're not going to get into it.
No, we're not. But some of those Halloween costumes are real nice.
You just want to walk up and be like, how much?
Don't go slut shaming, y'all.
I'm not.
What
I
do
said
you
the
mean?
I said the
I'm not
Halloween
slut
costume.
shaming.
I said
Look,
I said the Halloween costumes are real nice. Those are my terms.
No, it's all good. You can dress like a slut, but I'm going to walk up and say, how much? You know what I mean? And they're going to be like, what do you mean? And I'm like, how much to have sex with you?
So if you wear one of those costumes, ladies, just be aware.
Yeah.
And it's all good. You can say none, or you can say $5, whatever you want to say.
Is $5 the top
Can't
range?
afford it.
The
Yeah.
top range of what Nick's willing to go with.
Yeah.
All right. Wow. All right. $5.
I'm
Okay.
always going to try to haggle it down to $5.
Right. Well, that's good to know. Well, Elsie, your paranormal story?
I don't really have anything personal that I've ever seen. I just have friends who've told me interesting stories. In particular, this one gal who lives in Topeka, Kansas, also has this basement situation, and her daughter hated it so much there that she moved out when she was like 16 because she just couldn't handle it. And, boxes will just raise and just interesting things will happen. I won't go into any more detail on that. But then another girlfriend of mine last night was just saying that not long after her nephew died, within that same week, she saw a shadow figure at the foot of her bed, and it freaked her out. But even though she was like kind of kicking at it and kind of screaming, it like didn't go anywhere. And after a while, she just kind of calmed down and realized it wasn't like anything bad. And now looking back, she thinks that maybe it was her nephew or something. But
her passed on nephew, or just her creepy
passed on nephew.
I see. Okay, just not her creepy nephew who likes to hang out at the
who
head of
says
the
he
bed.
wasn't creepy when he was alive?
Yeah,
Who
good
knows?
point, yeah. All right, so that's that, and thank you for sharing. I appreciate
It's spoopy.
I think the most important piece of news to take away from those stories is that Elsie has girlfriends.
Girlfriends.
Don't be jealous.
Super gels. All right. So that wraps up the paranormal portion of the program.
My buddy, he sometimes describes, or what is it called? Sleep paralysis. Like when you like wake up and it feels like there's someone sitting on your chest. Like he describes that to me all the time. He's like, man, last night fucking, I felt like there was like something sitting on my chest and there was someone like in the corner of my room, but I could not look. I couldn't move. I'm like, dude, you have sleep paralysis. He's like, no, it's not that. It's just like, there's something in the corner and I'm awake and I can't move. And
Yeah, dude.
I'm like, that's sleep paralysis, bro. He's like, dude, you're not a doctor. I'm like, oh my God, just look up the symptoms. You are literally describing them perfectly to me.
So this is not a paranormal thing. This is a medical problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he doesn't act. Yeah. Right. So should he see a doctor and a priest? I
don't know what the fuck you can do about sleep paralysis, man. Just get drunk or something.
No, you get an exorcism.
Maybe.
Yeah. That's what I'd do. I'd get a priest over.
Exorcise the demons.
Yeah, I think that's always a good call. I really do. Hey, speaking of things that we saw this week The King, which is a story of Henry V on Netflix.
Oh, yeah. It's had Cedric Diggory in it and
Cedric Diggory.
His
Other
best
people.
work to date, in my opinion.
He did look cool in the trailer.
Yeah.
Robert Pattinson?
Yeah.
Fucking Edward from Twilight, and you picked Cedric Diggory?
That's what I saw him in first, actually.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll allow it.
So it's, I would say it's a good movie with only a passing reference to historical accuracy, but it
It's well written.
Yeah.
Good dialogue.
Yeah, it details the rise of Henry V from drunken lieabout to glorious king of England and most of France in the 15th century.
That's cool. Yeah, I was watching the trailer and I kept, and they're like, Henry. And I was like, this cannot be about Henry VIII, is it? Wasn't he like the biggest piece of shit of all time?
No, Henry V, one of the greatest kings in English history. So good
there you go.
Good for Henry. Yeah, I recommend it, actually. I mean, it's worth 2 hours of your time.
I watched American History X for the first time ever a couple days ago.
Oh my God. Okay. What did you think?
I mean, it was it was good. I mean, it was all right.
Okay.
Like the ending didn't make any fucking sense to me at all. Like, why did the kid just get blasted in the bathroom? Like, that's not how that would have gone down. He was just waiting in the pisser with a pistol for him. Like, there's so many times he could have caught him outside of school. Like, but it was only, it was kind of contrived to me. Like, it was, right after he wrote the fucking paper and then he's crying and he had this huge breakthrough. Oh, I shouldn't be a skinhead. And my brother did all this fucked up shit. Now I see that I got it. I came in here too young, not knowing the full weight of my actions. And then he gets blasted in the pisser. Like, at the very end, I was like, all right, man, come on.
All right.
Edward Norton should have got blasted in that movie.
I thought he did, actually.
No, it was his little brother.
Time for confession. I've never seen the movie.
Yeah. And it's like he gets killed by a black kid because he like had a confrontation with with this black kid who was in the bathroom, but it wasn't even like, he's like, they were kind of about to fight. The kid lit a cigarette, blew it in his face. The bell rings and the kid's like, you're lucky I got school, or you're lucky I got class. Not even like, I'm going to bring a gun and shoot you confrontation. You know what I mean?
But then it wasn't that kind of but then it was that kind of.
But then it was, yeah. Then at the end, it was just that kid that he blew the fucking smoke in his face, just blasted him in the bathroom. And I'm like, why the fuck did he do that?
Well,
it was,
I think
doesn't make any sense.
Although
he was like a known skinhead, so that maybe.
Yeah. I think the real lesson here is you got to be careful about where you blow your smoke.
Yeah.
That's the real lesson.
He was like 14, just chain smoking in school. I was like, okay.
I couldn't do that. And they allowed smoking near school when I was that age. But
Yeah,
you still couldn't smoke in the school. It was not considered to be proper. So, Sarah, have you listened to or seen anything this week?
We went to go see Gemini, which was a Will Smith flick. It was fine.
It's fine.
It was fine.
That's good. Yeah. So
it's not his best work.
I heard that was like a massive fucking flop at the box office.
Oh yeah, they spent a lot of money on it and nobody went to see it except Sarah, apparently.
It was fine.
It was fine. That's the problem. It was just fine. It was apparently not that great a flick. Elsie, you see anything special this week?
I'm not going to get the name of it right. What's it called? The Devil Lives in Cleveland?
Oh, no, that's not what it's called, but I know what you're talking about.
The Devil Lives Here or something like that. So it's the story of a migrant from the Ukraine to the United States who worked in the Ford factory, just living his life. Big member of the local Ukrainian Orthodox Church and whatever, or Catholic or whatever. And then in his elder years is... determined as one of the most heinous Nazis at one of the
Ivan
most
the Terrible?
Yes.
So this is the George Demjanjuk story. And
John.
Well, yeah. Is it John Demjanjuk?
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway,
Ivan the Terrible. Yeah.
Look, his name is not clear. Okay, his name is never really clear. Is it Ivan? Is it George? Is it John? We don't know.
You know what? That reminds me.
Definitely Ivan.
That reminds me of this story or this documentary that I saw. Well, I didn't see it, but it was like on the documentary subreddit. It was on the front page. 11,000 upvotes. It's called. I'm sure I'm going to butcher how this guy's name is actually said, but it's called Gehlen, Gehlen.
All right, Gehlen.
Spy. The story of Reinhard Gehlen, Hitler's top spy who, following World War II, bargained his freedom with intel files that became the basis for forming the CIA in 1947, which I'm sure was all part of Operation Paperclip, where he worked and recruited the other former SS Nazis in America and eventually retired on a CIA pension.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, after World War II, one thing we liked about the Nazis was their anti-communist bona fides. Mm-hmm. And so many Nazis ended up working for the United States, not least of which was Werner von Braun, our Nazi Germany's top rocket scientist, who we made our top rocket scientist.
He got us to the moon. He was the director of NASA when we first got to the moon.
Well, he was the director of rocketry anyway. Yeah, I don't think he was actually the NASA administrator, but he certainly... I don't know. Doesn't matter. Point is that he was a Nazi, and then he was a fine American.
Yeah, and he was like a notorious Nazi. Like he ran a camp and...
Oh, yeah.
He hung the... What? Wait, what?
Look, he was responsible for the Nazi V1 and V2 buzz bomb programs, right? The initial ICBMs that were ever built, he built them, and he built them with slave labor.
Yeah, and he hung the 5 slowest workers every day at his factory.
I'm sure that's true.
I heard.
He was not look, he was a Nazi, full stop. And then he was a fine American. That happened. And it happened more than once. Let's just put it that way, because we needed those people we took a practical view of the necessity to rehabilitate former Nazis.
Well, I think what it really was is that Russia wanted them too. And so we were like, well, we can't let Russia have all of them. You know, they did all these human experiments and have all these, access to all this data that we weren't legally allowed to carry out. And now we don't want Russia to have all of them or whoever else to have all of them. So we're going to save a few Nazis ourselves.
Yeah, a passel of Nazis.
Yeah.
A bushel basket of them, if you will. Pack
a
Nazi.
bushel.
Yeah.
Pack of Nazis.
Right.
A case. I'd say a 30 rack of Nazis.
I might say a gross, actually. I think that might be the most appropriate term.
And acquire their knowledge.
Yeah.
Which is whatever.
And skills. Yeah, it's in the past, but it's a rather shameful page out of American history. So anyway, the point is that John Demjanjuk was tried in an Israeli court, convicted, and then appealed his death sentence. And I have to watch the last episode. Even though I lived that history, I don't recall how the case turned out, to tell you the truth. So I'm going to have to watch the rest of it to find out. But it is fascinating how... it's still not clear to me, based on the testimony and based on the evidence, whether or not this guy is actually Ivan the Terrible from Treblinka, or whether he is harmless old John Demjanjuk, a Ford plant auto worker who emigrated like so many others after the war.
Oh, so you think there's a shadow of a doubt that someone just made up that he is Ivan the Terrible?
No, I don't doubt that he appears to be Ivan the Terrible. But on the other hand, at the point that he tried him, it was 40 years after the war, right? Memories are a tricky thing. And so he obviously looked very different 40 years later than he did in 1943. And so who can say whether it's the exact same guy?
One of the most fascinating things to come out of this, in my opinion, isn't even so much about the John Demjanjuk story as it is when they mention that all these Jews who survived the Holocaust that went to Israel were actually treated like shit by the local Jewish community, because there was this suspicion of like, well, if you survived and others didn't, how the fuck did you do it? And they just assumed all these horrible things. So it led to a lot of kind of mismemory, because they started building up stories in their own heads to tell others.
That's a fucked up way to look at it,
right?
Dude.
Yeah, it's pretty awful. So it's hard to really know what is or isn't true after all these years of maybe telling your story a little differently, so that your local Jewish friends in Israel don't think you're a piece of shit.
And yet, there's ample evidence that many Jews who survived felt themselves to be the least of the people that...
Survivor's guilt.
They not only survivor's guilt, but I mean, if you've ever read, and I do recommend that you read Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, one of the greatest books about the human experience ever written. And he, at the outset, says, those of us who survived, we were the worst of them. We were the ones, they killed all the good ones. So all that was left was those of us who... The dregs. They killed all the good ones. And I thought, wow, man, what a way to look at yourself in the aftermath of that experience. Nevertheless, the book itself, despite that introduction where he basically says, all of us who are left, we aren't the good ones. They killed them all. The book itself really gives insight into how people survive anything. And the answer is, those who survived, it's not like they were bad people at all, those who survived had a positive vision of the future. And that is the difference. That is the essence of resiliency. You can take anything if you believe the future is going to be better and you have a positive vision of it.
Yeah, or it's just luck of the draw. Sometimes it was just luck.
True.
Well, but our own resiliency there's a strong correlation to how much hope a person has.
It's true.
Yeah, there was this thing I read. I can't remember who wrote it. Let's see if I can find it. It was called like 20 things or 14 things I learned in the gulags. There's this guy, this famous Russian guy who
probably Alexander Solzhenitsyn. He's among the most famous of the Gulag writers. He wrote the Gulag Archipelago and some other famous books about the experience in the Gulags. But it might not be him. Could be others.
45 things I learned in the Gulag.
So, wow, that's more than twice 20.
Yeah. Well, they're all one sentences. They are pretty crazy. No, it was Varlam Shalamov.
Oh, Varlam Shalamov. Yeah, he and Alexander Solzhenitsyn hung out.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that.
They were buds.
Yeah, probably. All right.
Here, let me just read you the very first one.
Okay, first one.
That he learned in the Gulag.
Okay.
Nombre uno, the extreme fragility of human culture, of civilization. A man becomes a beast in 3 weeks given heavy labor, cold, hunger, and beatings.
Yeah, it sounds right.
There was one I remember seeing where he was like, every time a man and a wife are separated, the wife is always the one who like tries to go to the man. You know what I mean? Like the women are a little bit more heroic than the men every time.
That sounds about right, too. I believe that. Now, I will tell you what Viktor Frankl said was the sure sign that someone was going to die in the camp was that they would smoke their cigarettes. They would smoke their last cigarette versus because cigarettes were currency. So that was a sure sign that they had no more hope for the future. So my point is that be sure and buy another pack before you run out, son. Okay?
Okay.
Or else we'll be concerned for you.
Yeah, exactly. Very much so. Hey, sports news. Time for sports. And the big sports news this week was that the Louisiana State University Bengal Bayou Tigers defeated the Alabama Red Elephant Crimson Tides by a score of 49 to 40-something. 41. Actually, it was 47-41. They beat them 47-41. Can you believe that? In Tuscaloosa. It was the first meeting of number 1 and number 2 for several years, and they beat them. And that last meeting, LSU also won that meeting 9-6. This was the exact opposite of that game in terms of its offensive fireworks. So that's the sports news.
Okay.
Now you have it. I hope you enjoyed it.
Feeling enriched.
Yeah. Hey, I will say this.
Yes.
One of my coworkers, so there was some confusion about like your fantasy football league and me getting advice from Nick on my pick'ems or whatever. Anyway, the point is he's like, I want for your brother and your dad's bet, which you guys don't have a bet going, but
no, we don't.
I didn't want to dash whatever was going on there. He's like, can whoever the loser be, just whoever knocks on their door next, it doesn't matter if it's a Girl Scout, it doesn't matter if it's your little lady neighbor,
right.
It doesn't matter who it is. Whoever knocks on your door next, what you have to do is open the door, let them speak, and then say, go to hell, and slam the door in their face. Okay. And I said, buddy, they'll do that for free.
Right.
That's right.
They don't need to lose for that.
No, not at all.
So if you guys really want to make his day and do that and record it.
Record it?
Yeah, so I could show it to him.
I'm sorry, I was reading a lot of gulag shit right there for most of that. Who am I slamming a door in their face and telling them to go to hell?
Whoever next knocks on your front door.
Hang on. Wait a minute. Let me just.
And I'm recording that? Why am I doing that?
Hang on.
So I can show it to him.
I don't.
Who?
I don't understand this. Okay, so how if you slam the door on them and then say go to hell?
Well, obviously you say go to hell first, and then you slam the door, dude.
Okay, we're gonna do a quick demonstration.
Really loud.
Right
I
here.
mean, I'm not gonna dictate how you do this.
Yeah, or you could slam the door and then scream "go to hell" from the other side.
All right, so Elsie has just left the sound booth. She's knocking on the door right now. Here she is. She just knocked. Here she goes. Go to hell! Is that basically the whole process?
Yeah.
Okay.
He did it.
All right.
He did it. What? So who's the loser? Why? Who was the loser? Had to do what? What? She's clapping or what?
It was if we were in a fantasy football league, the loser of the league would have to go do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weak.
Yeah, it is weak. Really, you should. If you lose the league, you should get a tattoo.
If you lose the league, you should give yourself an ultra wedgie, like all the
and
way
hang
up
yourself
to your head.
From the flagpole.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I was gonna say just go to the mall, but.
Yeah, but I'm not going to do that. I won't do voluntarily.
All I know is our dog is very upset by our little ruse there.
It is. It's like Daddy yelled at Mommy, and now I'm so upset. Does this mean you guys are going to get a divorce?
Is it
Am
my
I still
fault?
going to get fed?
Right. Is Daddy still going to smoke with me? All right, anyway, so yeah.
Do I get 2 Christmases?
Yeah. So anyway, how's Moose smoking habit coming along? Did you get him on vaping or anything yet, or is he still he's still a 2-pack a day dog?
He smokes like a fish.
How do fish smoke exactly?
A lot. People throw their butts into the cigarette or their butts into the sea. I mean,
yeah, that's true.
Cigarette butts in the sea,
and then the fish smoke them. That's a little known fact.
Yeah, and they gotta want it too.
Yeah, because getting a blaze going underwater—that's no easy. That's no easy.
Kindling a blaze, even for something like a cigarette's tough underwater, especially for a dumbass fucking tuna fish. You know what I mean? Who don't have opposable thumbs or pockets.
Yeah, they only have that alien technology from the Tic Tacs under the water. That's all they've got.
And an iron will.
Yeah. Right. Well, kids, are we missing anything this week?
Nah.
I think we need to do a basic bitch Instagram session, which is for the month of November. What are we grateful for?
I don't know,
Doug.
man,
dude, I'm so grateful for a lot of things. So many things. Let me tell you one thing. I'm glad that I could take a shower without having anyone having to help me. Like, I'm glad I have all my limbs. I'm glad I can fucking see. There's so many things people take for granted. I hear people bitching at work all the time, and I'm like, yeah, but also, what if you were blind too? Like all this shit, and then now all of a sudden you couldn't see, or like some fucking oil just went into your goddamn eye and now you can't see. That's not happening, you know? If that happened, it would be a lot worse. So I'm grateful all those things don't happen. That I have all my faculties in control of my motor functions.
And bowels.
That's
Faculty. It's a motor function.
Yeah.
That's a little...
I'm super grateful that my nipples are perfectly formed and shaped.
Hey, man.
Whatever.
Not everybody has that.
Yeah.
So be grateful.
I am. For November, only month of November only. The rest of the time I'm hostile about it.
Yeah. And there also is one more little thing that I saved that I
What are you
found
grateful
on
for,
Reddit.
Sarah?
Yeah. Oh, just a whole thing? A whole new segment?
No, it's not a whole new segment. It's just a little fun fact.
Yeah,
Just a little...
Real quick, let's wrap up. Sarah, what are you grateful for?
The fact that I have heat in my house.
Oh,
It's
I
gonna
like
be
that
real
one.
cold this week.
Yeah.
And that you
That's
don't need to steal a space heater from yourself and take it to your new apartment?
Right.
Right. All right. Well, I'm grateful I didn't have to hear about UFC this week.
All right. That's a good one.
Wow.
Well, now that you mention it, there are a couple of things that we have to go over.
In detail.
Okay,
In
well,
detail.
Excruciating detail.
I'm a go then.
Actually, well, yeah, whatever.
All right, so let's get
Yeah,
on to
what's
this
this new
Reddit
segment?
thing.
Yeah.
What's this Reddit thing? Fun fact.
Oh, do you know the book Brave New World?
Yes, of
Yeah.
course. Aldous Huxley.
Yeah. 6 hours before his death from cancer of the larynx, he requested 100 micrograms of LSD to be injected intramuscularly, which was given to him moments later. So he died tripping acid.
Interesting.
That is fucking crazy.
I wonder
don't
how
know
that
what
impact-
that would be like.
I wonder how that impacted his experience
Only
in the
one way to find
afterlife.
out.
Yeah.
Right.
That would, I mean, yeah. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know how that ushered him on into the next world. You know what I mean? But his death, like that of C.S. Lewis, was overshadowed by the assassination of JFK. So
I see. Well,
All right.
and on that
I
note,
gotta go make dinner. I'm
all
hungry.
right. All right.
Get
Love you, honey.
hungry.
Good to talk to you.
Good to see you.
All right. Ciao. And Nick, I think this might have been the best one ever.
you think so?
No. A Shinn Show is a production of Shinfluence. It features the voices and opinions of the Shinn family, which are entirely and exclusively their own. It's brought to you on a fake basis each week by Ziff's Fine Dining in Invercargill, New Zealand, and by The Throne Room, Wonderful Tattoos, also in Invercargill, New Zealand. You can find A Shinn Show on Google Play Music, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get podcasts. Be sure and join us next week when we're going to hear Nicholas Shinn say...
Don't intramuscularly inject LSD into yourself before you die. Or do.
Why? It might be
You know what?
amazing.
Do it and get back to us. Right back to us how it works. How that worked out for you.
You trip right into the afterlife, and it's like this great journey on the way there.
Yeah,
I think that's an
tripping
awesome idea.
sack into the next life. You know what I mean?
All right, well...
You just hear, what's that song called by the Steve Miller Band? Fly Like an Eagle, just
Right.
as you fucking dance into the, into the tunnel.
Or I thought it would be Space Cowboy. Whatever.
Or Rhinestone Cowboy.
Or there's a whole variety.
Like a rhinestone cowboy. That would not be a fun tripping song. That would kind of that'd put like a
No.
weird, sinister vibe to it.
Be real bad.
I wouldn't know about any of that. But what I do know is this. Good to talk to you this week, son.
Yeah, you too.
What am I?
Oh, I thought you had already left to make dinner, Sarah.
Oh,
And he already said fucking good to talk to you too.
Yeah.
I guess so.
And I said I loved you, but as usual, you didn't respond. See?
I did.
Oh, you did? Oh, well, all right.
There's a lot of anger and hostility in this love situation that's going on. Anybody getting that vibe?
Yeah, it's weird.
Right. It's weird, okay?
All right. You know what? I'm really leaving now.
All
I
right.
can see where I'm not
Yeah.
wanted.
Okay,
I
love you,
love
bye.
you
How do I leave this place?
You can't leave.
Uh.